everybody. I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera show. And certainly if you're here from out of town joining us this week for the golf tournament, I want to especially welcome you and so glad that you decided to tune in and watch tonight. I'm very fortunate tonight to be introducing three wonderful chefs that are going to be joining me during Masters Week. And my first one tonight is Blake Mitkoff, and he's from Albany, Maryland. And I'm so excited, Blake. You know, you and I actually worked together last year.
Yes.
So I'm so glad that I didn't scare you away from coming back for the second year.
Oh, it was tough. It was tough.
It's a tough week. But I'm really happy that you're going to be back with us again, and we're going to prepare a dish tonight that you're going to actually be preparing this week for some of our out-of-town guests.
Can't wait.
So let's get started. What have we got here?
So today we have an 8-ounce filet. We're going to sear it off in the cast iron to get a nice caramelization on it, and then we're going to marinate it with some butter, thyme, rosemary, some shallots, garlic. Yummy. Make that steak just melt in your mouth.
Well, and as we were talking about the show coming up, you know, so many people think you've got to go heat the grill up to cook something. So what makes this a special way to do it in terms of preparing something really delicious?
Well, one of my favorite reasons is that I don't like to go out in the rain and cook a steak when I'm hungry. So I really like to grab a nice cast iron, get that really good flavor, just marinate it into the steak, and it comes out really delicious.
Well, I'm sure everybody has one of these at home, so why don't we get started with your seasoning
Of course.
Get this going.
Get our pan nice and hot. Perfect. So while that's going, I'm going to salt and pepper my steak. Key ingredient to always making sure your steak tastes delicious. So we season from above so you don't overdo your steak seasoning.
Great. And that's just some kosher salt.
Just some kosher salt. Want to make sure you get it on the sides also.
And I always love to throw out my partners over at Fresh Market because this meat is fabulous.
And then get a little pepper, same exact technique. Nice. And then I'm going to get a little bit of butter right into the cast iron just to give it a nice glaze. Oh, that sounds good.
The temperature's just
right.
right.
I can't wait. Get that swirled around and get a nice little glaze on your cast iron. And then I always like to put a little shallot or onion to see, you know, when it's ready to go. And you hear that sizzle. There you go.
Okay, now you've also got me in front of some potatoes that I probably ought to be doing something with.
So I hear you go to the gym a lot, Miss Vera. So you're definitely going to want to get mashing right in there.
I gotta make sure you guys are doing what you're supposed to be doing.
And you're going to add a little bit of butter, some cream.
Okay.
And I know everybody loves some bacon, so we got some crisp bacon that I rendered out. That's really delicious. So while she's mashing those potatoes, I'm going to add in some more butter right here.
Okay, so you're not actually putting it on the meat, you're putting it in the pan.
Exactly. Some thyme, rosemary.
Ah.
Bring my temperature down.
You got that straight out of somebody's garden right here in
Yeah,
town.
a good friend of mine. He was able to help me out and give me some nice fresh ingredients. Throwing some shallots in there. Fresh garlic.
And look at this bacon that's going in these. Oh, wow.
Smells good over there too. Ooh,
you can't go wrong with a good piece of beef and some great mashed potatoes. All right, so now you've got that on like a medium heat.
Exactly.
And about how many minutes are you going to cook a side?
About 3 minutes to get that nice brown color that you're going for. And then as soon as that's done, you're going to flip it over, and I'm going to take my my basting spoon here, and I'm going to take all the flavor from the garlic, the shallots, and just pour it right into there. Make it a nice melted butter flavor.
Now, you know, why would somebody not want to do this at home? You know, I know women will say, well, the whole house is going to smell like steak, but it's a great aroma.
It really is. The only thing that I could think of is just, you know, a lot of people are comfortable using a grill, and sometimes people are afraid to go out of their element, and this is just a great opportunity to really give that a shot.
Right. Well, I think that, you know, you're also going to make some gravy with some of this that's left in the pan, and you wouldn't have that opportunity if you weren't using this cast iron skillet.
Very, very true.
So the potatoes, that was heavy cream that we put in there, correct?
Exactly.
Or half and half?
Half and half heavy cream, actually.
And this is going to be part of the plating process that we're going to do at the end.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, we're going to need to wrap this up as you get that turned over. Look at that.
Look at that color there.
Okay, so come back with us in just a few minutes. We're going to be getting started with Chef York on the pork tenderloin. Welcome back, everybody. And you know, I know lots of us are getting ready for the golf tournament next week. Looks like I might be playing golf, but instead I'm here with my friend York Winstead. And York is from Washington, North Carolina.
Oh yeah.
And you are going to be joining me for the first time this year during the Masters.
I will be, my first time. I'm really excited about it.
I know it. And y'all, you know, it was the mustache that just reeled me in the minute I met him. But York is going to show us another meat that's very popular to throw on the grill, but you're also going to show us how we can do this on top of the stove.
Absolutely. So we've got the pork tenderloins, a really tender part of meat out of the pork. It's usually kind of the back area, piece of meat that they don't move very much, so it doesn't get much attention. So it's a really tender piece. I've marinated it. I marinated it earlier. I just coated it with a little bit of oil, salt and pepper, and then I put in, I had balsamic vinegar, I had apple cider vinegar, some honey, and of course bourbon, which is the best part of the dish.
Yes.
So yeah, got to reference old Jim for it. So
well,
I've got my pan.
That looks really great.
I've got my pan already a little bit warmed up. I'm gonna add some oil to it. And you can see it starts to ripple just about the second it hits the pan. That way you know it's nice and hot. You can always kind of, you know, don't touch the pan, be a bad idea, but get your hand in there, make sure it's nice and warm. This guy's gonna sizzle real good when it gets the pan.
Gosh, look at that. And there were 2 of these to a pack, right, when you buy them?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And it's definitely gonna spark up at you when you put it in the pan, so be careful you don't burn yourself. Nobody likes that.
No.
So I can throw this marinade off to the side now. And this is gonna, so it's got honey in the marinade, so that's gonna brown a lot quicker than most things that you'll sear, like Blake's steak earlier. His would take a little bit longer versus this has got all that extra sugar that's gonna caramelize really fast.
Right. So, and you just kind of moving it around a little bit too?
You honestly don't want to move it too much. You want to let it sit at first and get that good sear going. And once it's kind of started to release itself from the pan, that's when you want to be able to flip it to the other side.
Okay.
And then we'll deglaze it with even more whiskey. And then it's going to go in the oven to finish up till internal temps around 120.
Okay, now you've got me on a project over here with some Brussels sprouts.
I do. So everyone usually cuts their Brussels in half or in quarters. You know, you got that big root in there. But this is a slightly different way to do it. You just cut the bottom a little bit closer to the top than you usually would. And then you can peel off these nice and pretty leaves. So you've got twice the amount of volume for about, you know, like 1 Brussels sprout. You'll have a nice little bunch of Brussels leaves for it.
Gosh,
and then of course you can save the hearts and half those and make those for another dish.
Well, and you know, I love Brussels sprouts and I've never thought about cooking it this way, but when I am cooking it and the leaves kind of fall off and get crispy and brown, that's my favorite part. So I'm learning something from you tonight, York. That's awesome.
I like to teach a little bit here and there. So as you can see, our pork loin is already very caramelized, that has a lot to do with the honey and, you know, the sugars that are in that balsamic vinegar.
Okay, now what are we doing with the beautiful lemons over here?
These lemon slices are going to go on the bottom of my pan, and that's going to be for the asparagus. So your asparagus is literally going to sit right on top of these lemons, and once they get nice and hot and fragrant in the oven, they're going to start to release steam, which is going to help cook the asparagus faster and also give you those aromatic you know, smells and flavors out of the lemons that you really want.
I know for sure that nobody out there has ever done asparagus like that.
It's a little weird way.
But it's, you know, it's such a pretty presentation. You know, this time of year, people, if you're doing a dish in your kitchen, having something else going on and having the counter just, you know, be filled with all these beautiful fresh vegetables.
Absolutely. So you can see we've got a nice brown on the top and the underside's getting nice and brown as well. And we've got all this beautiful fond on the bottom that we don't want to lose. So use old Jim here to pull that off the bottom.
Old Jim.
Old Jim here. Nice and sizzle. That's going to pull all those flavors up and add it into the pork for us. So that's our whiskey. Oh, and does it smell good?
Oh, wow. Well, we need to wrap this up now. So this asparagus is going to go on the lemons?
Absolutely. Let's throw a little bit of garlic right on top of the lemons first.
Okay. All right.
And I'm going to finish this with a little bit of apple cider. Not vinegar, just regular apple cider. That'll get covered, and we'll put that right into the oven.
Okay, well now you need to come back with us after the break. You're going to get introduced to Chef Shawn, and he's going to be doing salmon for his dish. So come back with us in just a few minutes. How in the world do we collect so many cleaning products? Well, if you're like me, this time of year it's time to get them all out and do that much needed spring cleaning in your home. But I've got an idea for you with this. This is just a shoe rack, hangs on the back of the laundry room door. And what this does for me is provide an opportunity to get all of this within one central location, instead of all under the kitchen sink and I'm out of room, or all in the laundry room and I'm out of room. It's got everything that I use to clean with or you know, organize with in one location. The other thing that's very important to me is the fact that this is much more safe for that precious little granddaughter that's at my home. I don't have to worry that she's going to go under the sink or find something that she doesn't need to get into. So organization and safety are two things to keep in mind this spring when you're doing your spring cleaning. Welcome back, everybody, and we are well on our way to showing you how to put that grill to the side and get in the kitchen and prepare these meats right on top of the stove. And I'm very pleased to introduce my third chef. This is Shawn Clendening, and Shawn is from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, and you know, we did telephone interviews, and then we met in Charlotte and kind of got to know each other. And this was where I got the idea, wouldn't it be great to introduce Augusta to some of these delightful chefs, talented folks. And Shawn is going to be showing us salmon tonight. So
today you've got a 6-ounce portion of salmon, and something different I did with it. I left the skin on to start with.
Okay.
And the other thing I did was I cured it in sugar, salt, equal parts by weight, and then lemon and lime zest. So you get that nice kind of fresh. So it's just
buried down in the kosher
straight,
salt.
It's buried in it, and it's only for 10 to 15 minutes. So you're not over curing it. You don't want to turn to salmon jerky.
Right.
Right, so that takes the need for seasoning out before we go into the pan totally away. So to start the salmon, I'll let the skin on, and a trick that I use, I'll take the back of a knife and I'll squeegee the salmon. And so there's still a little bit of moisture in it. And get the milk out of it, and it gets that real nice crispy skin. And so we're gonna start in a non-stick. We're gonna start in a cold pan.
And I love this. Now, did you hear him? This is a cold pan.
Cold pan. So that way, when the heat brings up, or when the heat comes up on the pan, it's coming up with the salmon as well. So that way the skin doesn't shrivel up. Like if I were to give you a hug from behind, nice and gently, you would be relaxed, as opposed to if I just came and grabbed you.
And scared me half to death.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, we don't want to scare that poor salmon right there.
No, it's too nice. It's too nice. And so the second thing it's going with is hand-cut fettuccine. And what I did, I just made a simple egg dough with flour and egg yolk and a little bit of milk and oil, and kneaded it, and then just rolled it out real thin and cut it by hand with a knife. You can use a pasta cutter. I didn't bring mine with me.
But you did bring your pasta machine.
Right.
And I did notice that you were kneading that for quite a bit of time.
Right. It takes a good 10 minutes to knead it, activate all that gluten. So to build our sauce for our nice pasta, we're going to do pea and pancetta, which is a classic Italian kind of pairing. So also in a cold pan, a little bit of oil, some shallot, and a little bit of pancetta. We're going to get a little render on it. We don't want it too crispy, but we don't want it too soft, so it has a little body to it. Oh, you hear that salmon?
Yeah, I know.
Starting to do nice things, huh? So let's get a little bit of heat on here and start our sweat. It's all about the sweat, just like working out. It's good for you.
That's right. I did that this morning.
I was still asleep.
I tried to get these guys to meet me at the gym, but they said no.
5:30 is a little early. So we're going to let this sweat start building flavor and building flavor.
Okay, now on the salmon, it's, that's cooking really well on one side. At what point do you think you'll probably turn that?
Well, see, here's the cool thing. Since we cured it, we're not going to turn it at all.
Oh, wow.
We're not going to turn it at all. We're going to let that skin crisp, and then I'll throw in butter and a little bit of lemon juice and create a glaze. And I'll basically spoon it over twice on this salmon, and it'll cook it just enough on that side. and it'll be a nice medium rare. And then we'll take our pasta once it's already come up and we've developed flavor and got that sauce, and I'll lay the pasta
this heat up any higher?
just a little bit.
Just a little
Turn
bit.
the heat a little bit. And I'll lay the pasta right on top of this salmon. So we don't want to put, you know, pasta right on top of raw salmon.
Okay, so what all have we got over here?
So over here we have peas two ways. We have pea puree, and then some fresh peas, Parmesan cheese, garlic, lemon, heavy cream, and herbs, which are just parsley,
Well,
thyme.
and you know, of course, for television, we love to get everything out and looking, but I recommend that anyway when you're doing
Exactly.
something that's this multitask, to
And
have
very
all of your
finite.
ingredients handy.
That skin's almost there.
Oh, wow.
It's almost there.
That looks
So
great.
we're gonna take our butter, let it start to brown in that pan, totally cut our heat,
Okay, so that's going to be gone.
cut the heat off, and then when you take this lemon and squeeze it in,
Woo!
it's gonna pop up at you and create a glaze.
Okay, well with that, we're gonna get this finished during the break, and when we come back, all three chefs are gonna come together. We're gonna get this food plated, and you're gonna be amazed at what it looks like. So come back with us in just a few minutes.
Come on.
Welcome back, and I hope you all have enjoyed this show tonight as much as I have. I mean to tell you, these three young men are so talented. I'm so happy to have met all three of you, and so looking forward to the week that we've got together coming up. But we got finished at the end of our last segment with Shawn finishing up that beautiful piece of salmon. So I'm going to let you kind of take over now and tell us what all we were doing during the break.
All right, so the way I finished off the salmon, so when we left we were sweating out aromatics and the pancetta, and then from there I went and added heavy cream and reduced it, and then I took some of that very vibrant pea puree and folded that in, so that nice bright green color. And to finish the sauce, you throw in your peas, herbs and lemon juice and salt, and just bring it all together once you got your pasta out of the water, and create that sauce. Use a little bit of pasta water as well, and finish with butter, of course. That's just the way I like to cook. Finishing with butter is nice. It gives a nice mouthfeel. And then when I went to plate it, I took a pair of tongs and twisted the pasta real skinny and just laid it right on top of that salmon and let it finish cooking the rest of the salmon, and couldn't be more simple.
Well, it is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to enjoy some of it in just a few minutes. Okay, York, you were next with the pork tenderloin.
So when it stopped showing me on the pork tenderloin, I was putting everything in the oven. Afterwards, after the asparagus and the pork was done, I took that jus or sauce we had from the pork loin, and I added a lot of brown sugar, a little bit more bourbon, and also a little bit of vinegar just to brighten it up a little bit. I also sauteed the Brussels leaves we had with caramelized onions, really simple, a little bit of vinegar to brighten that up as well. To plate it, had a nice brush stroke over the top with the glaze, just right across the plate. On the bottom, we've got those nice Brussels leaves with caramelized onions to build on top of. There I put the asparagus, and then took the apples that we cooked in that glaze as well to, you know, layer right in with the pork to look really nice together. Got a lot of colors, and then of course had to show off those Brussels one more time on the corners of the plate.
Well, it is absolutely fantastic, and the shape of that plate was perfect for that dish. Okay, last but not least, Chef Blake and the beef tenderloin.
So as you saw, we finished in the cast iron, and I put the steak into the oven. During that time, I finished up with the gravy. I added a little bit of water and dusted the cast iron with some flour to get a nice little sauce. And I just put a little bit of sauce right on top of the steak, and I also garnished with some chives to give a nice bright green color to the plate. And we also added a little bit of pickled rosemary red onions just to finish it off.
Well, the combination of colors between the pancetta that was in the mashed potatoes, the bacon that was in there, it just has turned out so beautifully. And as you can see, it's not quantity. Come on in, guys. It's not the quantity, it's the presentation. You know, it's not how full you make the plate, but how beautiful you make the plate. These are some of the meals that we will be preparing next week as we get ready for all of our out-of-town guests. And needless to say, it's without, it goes without saying that having talented young men that are so passionate about food be part of the process is just wonderful for us. Augusta is noted for their southern cuisine, and to have a little bit of a twist put on it with things like the way the pasta was done, the fact that you were talented enough to make it yourself. I know there'll be people that are wishing they're in the house where you're preparing. And then the way you did the asparagus tonight with the lemons was just fantastic. And then finally, the tenderloin, it could not be more perfectly cooked, and it's probably one of the more favorite things that we do. So as I always say on the Very Vera show, guys, and you may not know this, but I always say no matter what you do it in good taste. Come back again next Saturday for another episode of the Very Vera show.